Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Scruffy-Looking Nerdhurst podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, bringing you all things nerd and geek-related. And this episode will be a San Diego Comic-Con episode. All things San Diego Comic-Con. Maybe a little bit of something at the end that's not San Diego Comic-Con related. Maybe not. I haven't decided. So anyway, this is the San Diego Comic-Con episode of the Scruffy Looking Nerdhurst podcast. So, cue that new intro song. Alright, and we're back. So, first off, the Clone Wars is back. Holy cow. Sorry, but for real, the Clone Wars is back, and it's amazing. There wasn't a bigger surprise this year for me than the announcement made during the Star Wars Clone Wars 10th anniversary panel for the Clone Wars show. What's even more amazing is that there were virtually zero leaks and no rumors that this show is even going to be coming back. And honestly, in this day and age, that's completely shocking. But they're going to be doing 12 more episodes to kind of help wrap up the storyline. I know fans all over the different social medias are stoked and excited about it, as well as I am. But kind of segueing in with animation, there were a lot of animated shows that were presented this year, from Nickelodeon's new Ninja Turtle show, and it was showing a more mystical storyline, similar to how the original series was. Invader Zim is going to be coming back. There's an animation called Disenchantment that looks really damn good, and The Dragon Prince, which I talked about on the previous episode. I don't know if you guys were able to catch it or not. It looks fantastic. It's from the people that did the Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. Really good. They're partnering with Netflix. And I seriously, I don't know how I'm going to find time for all these amazing looking animated shows. They all look really good. I don't know how I'm going to be able to watch them all. I probably won't. I'll just be continuously watching new animated shows all the time. But also this year, Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff was pretty much a no-show. I can't think of a single panel. Like a lot of people were, thinking, that it was kind of like a red herring or, kind of misdirection, that when they announced that they weren't going to have any sort of panels this year or anything. And, I was anticipating them to show something from Captain Marvel, but they're not, I guess. They didn't, I should say. Nothing, for Infinity War, nothing. I mean, the only thing they had was there was kind of like a group therapy session thing that they set up for people that wanted to talk about the ending of Infinity War. That was pretty much the only MCU thing that was there at Comic-Con this year. So who was there this year to swoop in and seize that moment of comic book movies? Warner Brothers and DC. And I'm gonna be honest, they really surprised even me. And I'm not a huge fan of their recent series of DC movies. I thought Man of Steel was okay. I did not like Batman vs. Superman. I did not care for Suicide Squad. I thought it was absolute garbage. And Wonder Woman, I felt like I had already kind of seen it with Captain America, so like the first Avenger. And I haven't even watched Justice League, but that's probably, everyone says if I don't like those other movies, I'll like Justice League. We'll see. I know, Joss Whedon had a hand in it, and I love his stuff. I may give it a chance eventually. But they really surprised me this year. Shazam looked goofy, but it looked super fun. And Aquaman looked like it was going to be a lot of action and a lot of underwater stuff, which, come to think of it, we haven't seen that since ever. I mean, The Little Mermaid. DC also showed off the trailer for Titans, which is going to be their flagship TV show for their new streaming service, DC Universe. And it looks extra dark, like weirdly gritty. At one point in the trailer, Robin literally says, "Fuck Batman." And is it weird to anyone else, or is it just me? Because I'm honestly more hyped for the Teen Titans Go movie than I am for that show. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think Titans is too gritty of a show? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. This wasn't exactly announced at San Diego Comic-Con, but it was teased from The Hollywood Reporter during Comic-Con. But Joss Whedon is going to be doing a Buffy reboot. So my girlfriend and I talked about it. I'm kind of torn, because like on one hand, I'm just like, why? I mean, Buffy was such a good show. It still holds up pretty well even today. But then on the other, I'm like, it's more Buffy from Joss Whedon. And I feel like this will most likely end up being one of the more talked about reboots that has happened because, I mean, Buffy had such a huge cult following and fans are extremely protective over it, and, they're going to want it to be good if it's going to be done. But I also know Joss Whedon isn't going to just put out crap. Like, his name's attached to it, he's going to do everything he can to make sure it's good. But it's weird, though, because it wasn't really talked about at Comic-Con, and Joss Whedon was even there for a Dr. Horrible panel, but he didn't mention anything about it at all while he was at the event, which, that kind of worries me, because I don't know if he's fully confident of how well it'll be received. Maybe he's wanting to wait until he has something substantial to show for it. I don't know. But kind of just going down the list of stuff from Comic-Con that really stood out to me, there was a new trailer for Fantastic Beasts sequel, and at the panel, in Hall H, they even had Johnny Depp dressed in character as the evil wizard Grindelwald. Taco Bell did a Demolition Man pop-up restaurant, to look like the Taco Bell from Demolition Man, which I thought was super cool. The movie was reeked of cheesy 90s action sci-fi, and that was super cool. And I love Taco Bell. There was a Purge City Emporium based off of the movies The Purge, but I guess they're going to be doing a TV show for The Purge. I don't know. But there was an Emporium where you could buy stuff Purge related for if you were a fan of that stuff. I'm not, but it's whatever. And there was even, like I said before, a group therapy session to work through your grief over the ending of Infinity War. Godzilla King of the Monsters looks amazing. Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things will be starring in it, and it showcased the return of Godzilla, and it looks like he brought some friends to play. There was a trailer for Glass that was shown, which ties M. Night Shyamalan, M. Night's Unbreakable and Split movies. They combines them together, or ties them together, I should say. And then there was going to be a soft reboot of the show Roswell, and it's going to be called Roswell, New Mexico. But this series will feature the once angsty teenagers as adults now. Sci-Fi showed a trailer for Night Flyers, which looked awesome. It looked super eerie and kind of not like Dead Space, in the sense there was space monsters and crap like that popping up everywhere, but it reminded me of Dead Space or Aliens kind of feel. But it's based on George R.R. Martin's 1980 novella, which if you haven't read it, do it. It's really good. And then Doctor Who showed off their first trailer for the new Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, and that looked fantastic. But one of my most favorite things from Comic-Con this year was Iron Fist Season 2. And I know, I am the Iron Fist. I wish people could look past that, because I felt like the first show was great at setting up a Season 2 and the tie-in to the Defenders. But even the fight choreography shown this year looks like the actor Finn Jones that plays Danny Rand really put in work to make sure that it was polished, it looked good, and everything just looks like it's like going that next step for everything. So I'm really excited for season 2. Also, this year AMC and The Walking Dead finally said goodbye to Andrew Lincoln, as this will officially be his last season on the show. Ooh. Honestly, like my girlfriend and I, we checked out of the show once they were really heavily toning down Negan, who is arguably one of the best characters in the series, whether it was the comics or the TV show. Her and I both, like, Negan is our favorite character, and we both thought his intro to the show was badass. It was brutal, and the fans of the show weren't really ready for it, that weren't aware of the comics. And never mind, I won't get into this. This is a topic of discussion for another time. Maybe I'll bring a guest on and we can debate and discuss it, but right now I won't get into it. But anyway, Andrew Lincoln is leaving The Walking Dead. It's officially announced. They had like a tearful goodbye little trailer video thing for him. But anyway, so TV shows and movies aside now, Star Wars is going back to the prequel era for outside of the Clone Wars show anyway, with new books and comics. There's a book called The Women of the Galaxy, which features over 100 illustrations from characters from the Star Wars universe, which even the cover art looked friggin' awesome. So that'll be probably something I'll want to add to my collection eventually. But then there's for younger readers, there's a book coming out called Search Your Feelings, which will use Star Wars as a lens to kind of help children understand different emotions and like how to like not really experience, but like know what those emotions are, for if like say like a friend was going through something they would understand by kind of connecting it to Star Wars. And I mean, kind of side note to that, maybe some adult Star Wars fans could benefit from getting that book based off of recent events in the Star Wars fandom. So anyway, then there will be a book titled Queen's Shadow, and that will be about Padme's transition from Queen to Senator that takes place between episodes 1 and 2. And then there's a book titled Master and Apprentice that will be about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and it's set before episode 1, obviously, or maybe not obviously, I don't know. I mean, it's Star Wars. That could be taking place in between 1 and 2, and he's, Qui-Gon's force ghosting it up or something. I don't know. Let's see. And then there will be 2 solo adaptations, one in the form of a novel and one in the form of a comic book. And also in regards to comics, IDW will be releasing an anthology titled Tales from Vader's Castle, written by Kevin Scott, and it'll be drawn by a different variety of artists, which looks to be, it sounds pretty cool. And then Charles Soule's Darth Vader comics will soon have an arc called Fortress Vader for 7 issues. So don't get those two confused. One's Tales from Vader's Castle, the other is called Fortress Vader. I guess Vader got into real estate at some point. And then finally there will be 3 anthologies. I guess that's what they'll be called. Yeah, anthologies. Anyway, one's titled Age of Republic, the next is Age of Rebellion, and the third is Age of Resistance. Now, I'm assuming they all have to do with each trilogy of movies, but they're going to be featuring different heroes and villains from the Star Wars universe through those time periods. That seems pretty cool. I'm a huge comic book nerd, obviously, and I love Star Wars, obviously, so I'm probably going to be getting all of those. But, I mean, Comic-Con this year was a complete nerd overload, which I was really surprised that it was going to be such an eventful Yvette, allow myself to introduce myself.